It's time to turn your dream into bold action. As a Christ-centered coach and mentor to women changing the world, I firmly believe that we all have a gift given to us by God, and we are meant to share that gift with the world. Your gift was given to you to help make others' lives better. Let's turn your passion into an authentic and profitable business that reflects who you are at your core. Welcome to the Dream Launcher Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Ferrara. Welcome to the Dream Launcher Podcast today. I am your host, Stephanie Ferrara, and I am so excited to be here with you and to launch this dream of mine that has been baking for quite some time. I would say probably at least a year. And it didn't start out looking like a podcast like it does right now. It started out very different and started on YouTube. I did execute there on YouTube, and then I took a break, and now I'm back. Just to let you know a little bit about who I am, again, I'm Stephanie Ferrara, and I'm excited that you have decided to join me on this podcast and on this adventure of dreaming. And when I talk about adventure of dreaming, what I'm talking about is dreaming about your business, dreaming about a ministry, dreaming about how you want your family to be, what you want it to look like, how you want your life to be. Because I know I've been in business for years and I really can't separate how I think in my business and how I think in my life. And the reason for that is because we weren't designed to separate them and compartmentalize them. It was meant to be all one big thing that happened together. So let's dive in, because today I want to talk about becoming a dreamer. Have you forgotten how to dream? I know I did at one time. For me, I could say that I've always been a dreamer. I can think back to elementary school and middle school and dreaming about house plans and designing them, drawing them out. I would spend hours in my room with graph paper and a pencil and just drawing out all these amazing homes. You'd think I'd become like an architect or something, but I didn't. But that was all part of dreaming. I would dream about other things, of course, getting into late middle school and high school and dream about my wedding and look through the brides magazines. And I think that's natural, right? For a lot of girls at that age. Maybe they don't look at magazines now. They're looking at Pinterest, but man, I had my spiral bound notebook. I had my brides magazines and my scissors and my rubber cement. And I was putting all the ideas in there. That was my Pinterest, was that spiral bound notebook. Was that you? Can you relate to that? Those are just a couple of examples of dreaming and how easy it is when we're young to dream. We play pretend, we make up stories, we make up a whole like scenario. I would play teacher with my friends, and we would be in the classroom and we'd be making something up, and we use our imagination and we play games with our friends. And then something happens, kind of called life or adulthood, and we put dreaming on the back burner. I know for me that was, life happened. It was getting pregnant too early, while I was in college, and having to go straight into really being the adult, being a parent at 19, and having to go into just mode of survival of I've got to get a job, I've got to take care of my family, and that's kind of makes the dreams stop. You kind of put it all to the side. And while we may have those moments where, we're caught in between dreamland as we're going to sleep or we're waking up, or we're maybe having a really hard day and we start to daydream about what would it be like if. Well, I encourage you right now in this moment to set aside your circumstances, because that's the goal of this podcast, is to help you learn to dream or learn to dream again. So when we think about dreaming again, I know I learned how to dream again. I've started a business very early in life. It was, direct sales, and I got into that as soon as I could, and then had to put it on the back burner, but always picked it back up. And I always had a dream of owning a business. And I think it's because partially I come from a line of entrepreneurs in my family. And so it just seemed natural. It seemed like realistic. It wasn't something that seemed out of the norm because I do have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. And from my parents, my grandparents, their parents, it's in our bloodline for sure. But finding the right business took a really long time. But I know that none of the time wasted in the other businesses, from different direct sales companies to owning a scrapbook supply company for a while, all of those things taught me different things that I use now in my business. Plus, along the lines, those were all like a plan B. They were the backup plan. They were the in case I lose my job one day kind of plan, that I would have something I could go in all in on. And then one day I got to go all in on coaching. But before that, I was working full time and doing my businesses on the side and on the weekend. And sometimes we have to do that, especially when we're getting started. I know a lot of people that I talk to and that I coach, they're so ready to get started. They're so ready to just like, when am I going to be able to quit my 9 to 5? And maybe it's because they're unhappy in their job. Maybe it's just because their dream is so big and it so seems so urgent. But I have to say the timing will come, the right time will come, and it may not happen the way that you really want it to, or it may not happen the way you expect it to. Um, I know for me it didn't, and that's definitely a story for another day. But when it comes to dreaming about that future and learning to become a dreamer, I encourage you to let yourself daydream. Now, don't let it get in the way of your day job, and don't stop working and all of that. Don't just go quit and not know what you're going to do. You just know you have this dream and you're going to make it happen unless God's told you to. But be careful in how you execute on that dream. We're always in a hurry. This is a hurry society. And just about every single one of the clients that I have had has asked, so when am I going to start making money? Right? I'm going to start this business. We're going to get it going. We're going to get my website up. I'm going to promote it. When am I going to start making money? And personally, I can't answer that. I honestly can't answer that because there's so many factors that come into play when it comes to making money in a business, but also the startup process. And one of those big factors is, how much time do you have to spend working on your business? Is it your full time thing? Are you able to take all day to work on your business? Or is it something that's happening in the background, that's happening after hours? And I know that getting frustrated with, oh, if I only had time to actually work on this, I would be a success by now. I've had that thought. I know it very well. But we have to remember that, we still have to survive and we have to eat. We have to keep a roof over our head and we've got to take care of our kids. And so that day job, we have to look at it in those early stages as an ends to, it's the means to an end, right? It's the way to get there. That job is financing your dream. But we also can't neglect our family in the process, and we can't neglect our kids, we can't neglect ourselves because there's a big hustle society right now, right? The big hustle, 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 put in all the hours. And we can do that in short bursts, but it cannot be a lifestyle because you will burn out and you will say, this business is not worth it when it comes to that. You will lose your family, you'll lose your friends, you'll lose all your connections because you'll be so focused on the business that it becomes an idol because you will actually lose touch with God in that process too. God is not in a hurry. He has his times, and there are times, sure, he gives you something and you need to obey with urgency. But when it comes to your business, measured, consistent action is what's going to get you there. And so as you think about learning to dream again, what is your dream? What did you dream about years ago and then life got in the way? You got married, you had kids, you got a job, but every now and then you still find yourself daydreaming about that business you wanted to start. Maybe it's changed over the years. Maybe it's based on interest. And at one time it was one thing and now you'd really like to do something else. Take time. And this is going to be my action for you out of this first episode here, is to take time to really dream. Take time to really dream Take time to visualize it. What is that business or the ministry that you want to create? What do you want your life to look like around it? Or what do you want it to look like around the lifestyle you want to create? Those are two really big questions to answer and excellent things to journal. Because if you can put that to paper and really describe with great detail how you feel about it, what it is, why you want to even create that life. What is it going to do for you? How are you going to feel through that? What is it going to do for your family? What is it going to mean for your relationship with your husband or your relationship with your kids? What is it going to mean for the other people in your life, or the people that you haven't even met yet? I believe, just as I said in the intro of this podcast, that everyone has been given a dream and a purpose by God, and we've been given special gifts by God that we are meant to serve others with. And in every aspect of your life, you can use that gift. So don't let your job be a place that is removed from you exercising and using that gift. Don't make it a place that's off limits. I'll tell you a little story. Years ago, when this would have been probably around 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere right around there, I started really having this big dream to coach and minister to women. And both of them were very related. Both of them had to do with finding their identity, finding their dream, breaking free from the things of life that have just attached to them and chained them down and held them back. And as I dreamed about that and envisioned what that kind of coaching business would look like, and wanting to be able to coach in a certain number of hours and then go and do what I call ministry, because at that time I was still thinking about them as very separate things, but coach during this time and go do ministry, freedom ministry in this other time. As I was really contemplating that and dreaming about it and continually picturing what that looked like, I found myself walking into the building that I worked at the time. And as I'd park my car and I'd get out, I'd close the door, and sling my laptop backpack over my shoulder and walk across the parking lot and just pray, God, use me where I am, but launch me to where I'm supposed to be. Make this a training ground for my next thing. Make this a training ground for where that dream will go. Let's bring that dream into reality. It became a conversation almost daily with God to say, help me, help use me where I am. Like, help me see where these things can be used in this building, in this workplace. But then help me also take the action needed to create a business out of it and to go into this ministry that I visioned as well. And the exciting thing is that in 2017, I got to do that. Now, I will reserve that for another episode because that's a story you've got to hear and how that happened. It definitely did not happen the way that I wanted it to. I would have wished this on anybody, but it happened. And now I am so grateful for what happened, and I am so grateful for how it happened, and I am so grateful for what God made of it. Because ultimately that's what it's about. What God took. The enemy really tried to take me out. Satan was trying to kill me, and that is no exaggeration. But God took that, and he used the recovery time from that to repair my heart, to repair my identity, where I was believing wrong things and false things about myself. He took that time of recovery where my body needed to recover. He took that time of recovery and he fixed me inside, the parts you can't see. And then he launched me into my coaching business. And I have never regretted it. It has not been a wasted moment. And so much of what I have been through in the, years before that, and where I had pleaded and prayed and hoped and wished, all of it I can see was not in vain. was not a mistake, and all of it truly was a training ground. So as I pray for you as we close today, that is what my prayer is. That you can see where you are right now as a training ground for where God is launching you. And that you are able to take those visions and those dreams, those little daydreams that you have of the life that you want, and you can move forward and take the right action to come into that vision where you step in one day, you wake up and you realize, I'm living it. And you're looking around in amazement as you go through your day and you realize that every part of that day is what you had journaled about and what you had thought about and what you had been praying for and dreaming for, that you get to live it every single day. That's the hope I hope to bring to you within this podcast as we move forward together in dreaming with God. Let me pray as we close today. Jesus, thank you so much for everything that you have shown us today. Every word that has been spoken, I pray that it has hit the heart the way that you wanted it to. That you have spoken through me and that none of it was me. I pray that everything that the people that are listening to this podcast want and that they desire, that it is in alignment with you, Lord. And that if it is not, Lord, show them what to get rid of and show them what to keep. Show them what part of their dream is totally in alignment with their gifts that you've given them, with what you have planned for their lives since the beginning. And spark that joy and spark that action and spark that fire inside them to find a way to make it happen without leaving you out of it, God. Don't let any of us leave you out. Jesus, I thank you for every single one, every pair of ears that has heard this today. I ask you to bless them. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. And hey, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed this episode, would you mind giving it a 5-star review and maybe leaving a comment? I sure would appreciate it.